Sunday marks 2 years since the killing of Breonna Taylor in Louisville, Kentucky. Last week, a jury found Brett Hankison not guilty on charges of wanton endangerment. He was accused of putting other people in danger, not Breonna Taylor, when he shot into the apartment during the raid that led to Taylor's death. Joining Morning Rush is Sunny Slaughter. She's a law enforcement and litigation expert. Thank you so much for joining us today. So my first question for you, because I have quite a few here, what's being done in Kentucky since Breonna Taylor was killed during the No-Knock Warrant, and what is left to do? Obviously, we know changes don't happen overnight, but this is now 2 years ago we're looking at this.
Right. Thank you for having me. 2 years later, what happened is in April of 2021, the governor signed a partial bill banning what he said it was banning no-knock warrants. And actually what that means is under certain circumstances. So law enforcement in Kentucky won't stop executing no-knock warrants, but what they will do, according to what the law states, is that body cams must be worn. There is a limited priority and time and scope in which the warrants can be executed between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. Also, that EMT must be on site and they must be executed by very specific teams. Now, however, when I read the minor details of the bill, one of the things that I noticed as someone who actually looks at no-knock search warrants and reviews them after the fact always, is that this is already standard for most police departments and most law enforcement agencies. No-knock warrants are not executed by patrol officers walking the beat that might stop you for a traffic stop. They're already executed by high targeted and trained teams that do these. They already go through a process in which judges have to sign off on them. So none of that is actually new. I'm trying to figure out what they did new in Kentucky that they may not have been doing before.
And I think that the part that you just mentioned is really key for a lot of people, because these are highly trained professionals, and you just, I think, inherently expect things to go as they should, and you don't expect these kind of things to happen. But overall, I mean, we're talking about Kentucky right now, but what type of progress has been made around the country when it comes to the execution of no-knock warrants? I mean, just recently we heard about Amir Locke in Minneapolis when he was sleeping on a couch and officers came in, and we know the ending to that one.
Right. The endings always seem to be the same in the cases that we're talking about. And you're absolutely right. There are 18,000 police departments across the United States, law enforcement agencies to be specific. They don't operate the same. So when you think about the broad covering of what has happened with no-knock warrants, it's really jurisdictional. It's really a state by state issue, because training is mandated state by state, and laws regarding how law enforcement operate tend to be largely based on what happens in jurisdictions, what happens with law enforcement and legislators and police departments. So what has changed? Largely nothing.
So when we're taking a look at the big picture here, are police reforms enough to prevent another Breonna Taylor situation or even an Amir Locke situation? Nothing will ever be able to bring these two individuals back, but is that a first step, and will that be enough?
When we talk about police reform, I think we really need to be very specific. The cases involving Amir Locke and Breonna Taylor really are systemic because they involve multiple systems. It's hard to change the culture of an institution when we look at the institution through a very narrow lens. We're talking about police officers, but yet we miss all of the other systems of institutions that led to the eras that involved the death of Breonna Taylor and Amir Locke. And I'm talking about from the judges in review of the cases to how law enforcement officers gathered their intelligence, how they executed the warrant. So when we think about reform, we can't narrow it down to what police are doing when they're executing one particular one particular case, but I do think it continues to be tragic. We have to stop being reactionary. Everything that we're doing when we talk about reform is really a reaction to systemic changes that need to take place, and very specifically, and they don't stop at the tragedy. They don't begin at the tragedy. They begin long before the tragedy. So are we doing enough? No, because I don't think we have enough people that understand the barriers, the business, and the politics of it all.
Right. All right. Sunny Slaughter, law enforcement and litigation expert. Thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.